Hello my friends, my name is Artur and I am an Estonian YouTuber. Welcome back. Last time you commented that I should watch Simple History and you commented that I should watch the Iranian Embassy siege. I've heard about that story, it's like a crazy S.A.S. story. Some of you also commented that I wouldn't do that much special forces videos, but they are interesting, don't you think? They're pretty damn interesting. Well, I can come to your way making a Simple History video and also making a Special Forces video because the Iranian Embassy siege was done by S.A.S. And you get both. Everybody is happy. But before we start, I also promised you that I would read out the patrons and the godly heavenly people who bought this heavenly cup. Meet these new Patreons. Daniel Kang. Applause to you, my friend. You have contributed to this channel personally and you are in the status of God. Thank you, Sam Stranded, also for becoming a Patreon. All the patrons I read, they are at a really high place for me because these guys literally contribute to this channel. They help this go on. I'm very thankful for you. Joshua Ward, thank you for getting this heavenly Estonian Youtuber Cup. It's magnificently wonderful. I've dropped it many times and it never broke. Kelly Joe Stansel, I think. Kelly, I think you're a woman, Kelly, you know, it might be it's a woman's name, right? So you are the very first woman who got this Magnifico cup. Very first woman. Let's make an applause. It took a lot of orders to get to the first woman, so you are at a high place for me. Cheerio. Now that's it. Let's jump right into the Iranian Embassy siege.
Operation Nimrod, the Iranian Embassy siege, 1980. Location, the Iranian Embassy, South Kensington, London. On May 5th, 1980, the world witnessed a
Starts with huge explosions. That's how I like my videos. Simple history, thank you.
Spectacular hostage rescue mission in the Iranian Embassy in London. After 5 days of the hostage crisis, the rescue action was conducted by the famous British unit trained for special tasks, the Special Air Service, better known as the S.A.S. The action, known as Operation Nimrod, was an example of a superb counter-terrorist operation, as it resulted in 5 of the 6 terrorists being eliminated and 1 captured, and only 1...
This is really effective. Like if you have 6 terrorists, they're taking the hostages, they're aiming guns at them, and you still manage to shoot them without shooting the hostages, and without the terrorists managing to shoot the hostages. That is like almost 100% efficiency. So S.A.S., that's why you're on top of the world.
Casualty among the 26 hostages during the assault. The Iranian Embassy siege began on Wednesday, April 30th, 1980, when 6 members of the so-called Democratic Revolutionary Front for the Liberation of Arabistan, or DRFLA.
Arabistan? Is that a real country? No way, I've never heard of it. It's like a movement, I think. Arabistan. My friend says sometimes, he's funny like that, he says, about America, he says Yankistan. So like America is some kind of Muslim mountainous area with freedom fighters. Yankistan. And now we have Arabistan.
Stormed the Iranian Embassy at 16 Princess Gate, South Kensington, London, UK. The reason behind the attack was because of the oppression of the Arab population in the oil-wealthy province of Khuzestan, or Arabistan as it was called by the Arabs, by the new Iranian regime led by Ayatollah Khomeini.
Ayatollah, hey. Ayatollahs are the Muslim leaders in the Shia Muslim sects. Shia are the minority of the 2 major sects of Muslims, Sunni and Shia. Sunni are 90%, Shia are 10% of the world Muslims. And they have Ayatollahs who are the religious and political leaders. But I have questions here. Why is it truly effective to storm an embassy in London to get things done in Arabistan? Like, this is how the world works, I guess. Like, Britain is everywhere. If you attack Britain from inside, you can manipulate its powers to get things done from the outside. Weird. That's globalism for you.
The attack on the embassy in London was to get the attention of the world, and especially Arab countries, towards their issue. The terrorists arrived in London 1 month earlier, on March 31st. The leader of the group was Oan Ali Mohammed, or Salim Tokay, an Arab political activist from Iran, and the only member of the group that spoke English. During the 1-month preparation, the terrorists...
Only member that spoke English. It might be quite hard to do. Like, if he would get injured or shot, the whole thing would just come stumbling down. Only one person speaks English. Not very well thought through mission, but I guess if you are a freedom fighter from a low-income country, you don't have that many choices, so you gotta do it.
Equipped themselves with weapons that were smuggled into the United Kingdom, likely via an Iraqi diplomatic shipment. Oğan and his associates were armed with 2 Polish-made Scorpion machine pistols, 3 Browning HP-35 pistols loaded with 9mm Winchester hollow point ammunition, 1 .38 caliber revolver, and several Soviet RGD-5 grenades.
Fun facts about these grenades is that these are really cheap even nowadays. They're unbelievably cheap grenades. You can buy one of these grenades, I don't know about the black market, but if you're a country ordering them officially, I don't know if you can order them nowadays, but in the 90s it was like $1 per grenade. They made so many of them, so you could order 20,000 grenades for $20,000. It's a lot of firepower for almost no money. You could buy 1 car with that money, so yeah, they're really damn cheap.
1. At 11:25 hours, the group slammed the door and captured the police constable Trevor Locke from the Diplomatic Protection Group. Constable Locke had his radio taken, but only after he managed to press the panic button without being noticed, sending an emergency signal to Scotland Yard. Besides, he managed to keep his .38 caliber revolver secret from the terrorists. In just a few minutes, the terrorists...
How can you keep a gun secret from the terrorists? That's on the terrorists. They weren't, I guess, checking that so thoroughly. I mean, you're a police officer, of course you carry a gun, and they don't check you. I guess they were so nervous, or they were just rookies that they didn't... I'm not saying I would do it right, but if you check a person, you have to discover a gun, otherwise your whole mission is compromised.
Terrorists took control of the entire building, taking 26 hostages. 17 of them were Iranian members of the embassy staff. 8 of them were visitors and Constable Locke. Among the visitors were 2 BBC employees, Sim Harris and Chris Kramer. The hostages were gathered and Oğan declared their demands: autonomy for Arabistan, the release of 91 Arab prisoners from Iranian prisons, as well as a plane to fly themselves and the hostages out of the UK.
Okay, people ask autonomy for Arabistan as if it is only for Britain to do. I don't know if it was, I don't know the history, but I have a feeling that UK alone could not grant them their wishes. I don't think it could. Or UK was that powerful in Arabistan back then and it could, but maybe they are asking too much. It's just not possible. I don't know.
The deadline to meet the demands was set to noon, May 1st, under the threat that the whole embassy would be blown up. Alerted by the panic button on Constable Locke's radio, the Metropolitan Police responded immediately. In just a few minutes, Deputy Assistant Commissioner John Dello appeared in front of the embassy and established an improvised command post in his car. As the situation developed, the post was moved to the building of the Royal School of Needlework and then to the nearby Montessori Nursery School. The first thing the police did after sealing the area was to establish a contact with Oğan via the field telephone that was dropped inside the embassy. The field telephone was chosen as it would continue to record conversations even when it was not being used. Metropolitan Police Chief Inspector Max Vernon became the negotiator on the other end. Soon after, the place was filled with an entire army of journalists and TV crews. The British authorities quickly became aware of the seriousness of the situation. A crisis management team gathered in the Cabinet Office briefing room, also known as...
This situation is really rare because it happened in the age of cameras and television and live television. So, and it was all public space also, and you could not send the journalists away. I don't think they did. I've seen some footage about this, like, a long time ago. So they filmed it all, it's a public event. So that's why the S.A.S. is so good, because if they would have failed, they would have failed in the eyes of the whole world. Because the whole world was watching by that time.
Cobra, chaired by William Whitelaw, the Home Secretary, as the Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher was unavailable. Cobra agreed that the police were to lead the negotiations, but in case of hostages being harmed, the army would step in. That is, the S.A.S. would commence a military assault. Even though the peaceful solution was the top priority, the British government was determined not to give in to the terrorists, and in no case allow them to flee the country. The British also had to count on the fact that there wasn't the slightest possibility that the Iranian government would give in to the terrorist demands. The Iranian government was also eager to use the situation in their favor and to portray.
So the British were supposed to talk to the Iranian government to make the Arabistan autonomous, but the Iranian government does not give in and the British do not have the leverage over them. What can you do? It's impossible demands. Of course you're gonna get yourself killed asking for a thing like that. Well, of course I'm not the one to speak, my country is free, but I am the one to speak because we got free through the singing revolution. We actually have struggled with this, so yeah, we chose the peaceful way. I'm not saying it's possible in Arabistan, the customs are different there, but still, I don't think that's the way to do it, to get your country free. It's just to take hostages like that.
Portray the captured embassy personnel as martyrs. In the afternoon, the hostage takers would release an ill hostage, Frida Mozaffarian, a press officer.
Good, very good.
Day 2. On May 1st, 2 S.A.S. teams, red and blue, arrived at the Regent's Park's barracks in white Range Rovers.
Okay, it's too much Call of Duty. Red team and blue team. It's a very game-like.
Then they moved into the building at number 14 through 15 that belonged to the Royal College of General Practitioners that was next door to the embassy. To remain unnoticed, the S.A.S.
Yeah, that's Captain Price right there. Look at the mustache. It's definitely Captain Price. And there's Soap and there's Ghost and everybody.
Into the building through back alleys under the cover of night. The other building, right next to the terrorists, the residence of the Ethiopian embassy, was occupied by MI5 technicians who were assigned to eavesdrop on the terrorists. They did it with the help of microphones put inside holes in walls they drilled with small hand drills. As a distraction for the noise they made by the drills, passenger aircraft landing at Heathrow were redirected to fly at a low altitude over the embassy.
That helped. Wow.
Inside the embassy, Owen was having difficulty with another ill hostage, Chris Kramer. Since his condition was worsening with each passing minute and police were not willing to send in a doctor, Owen had no choice but to release him. The first thing Chris Kramer did once he was free was to give information to the police about...
Okay, if you have no choice but to release a prisoner instead of killing him, you obviously show that you're not ready to kill people, which is good. I'm not for killing people. I don't like it, I don't want it, but I'm just saying that you just exposed your bluff. If you can't shoot 2 ill persons, then you cannot shoot anybody, so the government is not going to take you seriously. It's a really bad thing to talk about, like I would shoot them. No, I would not. I would just free everybody. I'm just telling you that if they're playing the tough game, they just play their card.
About the hostage takers. The most important moment of the day was noon, when the deadline was set for the Arab prisoners to be released. However, as nothing happened, Owen postponed the deadline to 1400 hours. The British authorities were certain that Owen was not ready to fulfill his threats, and intentionally let the second deadline pass as well.
So they're not taking them seriously anymore because they are not killing people. Again, it sounds horrible, but if you are playing that game, if you're playing that, I'm gonna kill everybody, and then you don't kill anybody, then no one's gonna take you seriously. So I don't. It's a hard thing to talk about. Yeah, it's just that's hypothetically that's the situation.
Second deadline passed, it became evident that they were right. Owen also realized that his demands were never going to be met and decided to change them. His new demands were that 3 ambassadors from 3 Arab countries, Iraq, Jordan, and Algeria.
Okay. Now the terrorists are giving new demands. We're coming your way. Meaning they're not gonna be taken seriously at all. They don't shoot people. They give in to their demands. They're soft. They cannot. If they chose the hard way to do this and they're soft, they cannot do this. They should have chosen the soft way, like Estonians. We had the singing revolution. I don't think you can start a singing revolution in Arabistan. Sounds impossible. It's too hot there. You cannot be outside singing all day. And people would shoot you probably. But I think there are other ways.
Would come and serve as mediators for the terrorists' safe passage from the UK. Day 3. The third day of the hostage crisis brought about nothing but new demands, set by Owen, otherwise he would kill Abdul Fazi Azati, the cultural attaché. Since the police refused to reinstall previously cut-off telephone and telex lines, Owen asked for a man from the BBC who knew Harris, one of his hostages, to dictate him his demands. At 1500 hours, Tony Crabb, editor of BBC TV News, arrived to note down Owen's demands. These were the arrival of one Arab ambassador as negotiator, a coach for the terrorists, hostages, and ambassador to be taken to Heathrow Airport, for non-Iranian hostages to be released at the airport, and finally an aircraft to take the terrorists, ambassador, and the rest of the hostages to one of the Arab countries, presumably Iraq, where the remaining hostages would be released. Owen requested that these demands should be broadcast by the BBC on the evening news.
Okay, now they just want to get out of there. Their demands don't even include the autonomy of Arabistan anymore. They just want to get out of there and possibly to Iraq to be safe. It's got out of hand, they know it, they just want to survive now. Not going to happen.
Later that evening, BBC Radio only briefly broadcasted the terrorists' demands and even misinterpreted them. Owen was furious. Day 4. At 06:05 hours on May 3rd, Owen yelled at Vernon via the field telephone line about being cheated. He demanded Tony Crabb from the BBC to return in order to take new notes on his demands, or a hostage would be killed. This time, the police had no choice but to give in to Owen's demands. At 15:30 hours, Crabb appeared, and after being reprimanded by his hostage friend Harris, he took notes exactly as Owen told him. Police negotiator Vernon ensured Owen his demands would be broadcasted in his exact words. In return, he asked Owen to release 2 hostages, which he agreed. As arranged, the first hostage, a pregnant woman named Hayat Kanji, was released before the demands were broadcasted by the BBC radio, and the second, Ali Guil Gunsafar, a Pakistani tourist, was released after the news. Demands were broadcasted by Scotland Yard's head of information, word for word. Even though the police seemed to have things under control, preparations for the military assault were still in progress. At 2300 hours, an S.A.S. team moved quietly across the rooftops to reach the roof of the Iranian Embassy. Once there, they spotted a skylight.
We have Captain Price here, we have Ghost, we have Soap, we have Roach, Nikolai is somewhere with the plane. It's Call of Duty Modern Warfare crew right here, of course.
Could serve as a potential entry point. On the back end of the roof, S.A.S. soldiers secured the abseil ropes for entry through the windows. Day 5. Broadcasting their demands was a small victory for the terrorists and definitely improved their mood. On day 5 of the siege, they received the news that the Arab ambassadors agreed to meet the British in order to solve the crisis. As a sign of goodwill, they let another hostage go, the journalist Mustafa Karkuti. Cobra, on the other hand, didn't have...
I don't understand their will, like they're willing to shoot people, but as a sign of goodwill, so they want to get along with, they just want to solve this, but as much as I know about Arab countries, things are not solved by like this, like I show you my goodwill and things are solved. No, this is what happened in first world countries maybe, I don't know. Something feels off about this.
Have any hopes that the crisis would end in a peaceful manner. The S.A.S. made detailed plans to storm the embassy and were ready to drop in at any moment.
Oh, okay, there's part 2. Damn it, I want to see the S.A.S. go in. Okay, we're gonna watch part 2 next time, definitely, don't worry about it. Be back next time. This is interesting, yeah. I have so much to say about it already, you heard it all. I'm sure you don't agree with most of my opinions, but still like, You know, if you don't want your house to be raided by S.A.S, go and get this Protectful Estonian Youtuber mug. It will protect you against terrorists and against everybody in the world. And it won't break. It's a weapon. Also, become a patron of this channel. Become a god. Thank you, my friends. And as always, until my next video, stay cool and bye-bye.